Meanwhile, we have a tweet here from James Kent, and it caught my eye because normally anything NBA related does. He says Steph
Ocho
Curry.
Texto.
Oh, is that his thing? Yeah, Ocho's Texto. I see it. Yeah, he said Steph Curry's the best thing going and watching sports right now. Have Yuns ever seen a player shoot like that? No, I haven't. And no matter what you do to try to stop him, he seems to figure out what he can do to beat you. And if it's a half-court shot, if it's inside the logo, if it's a penetration, because you got to respect the outside shot, I honestly think he's unguardable, Chris. I really do. And that's why that team, if it's one of those one-game play-in situations, you don't want to play Golden State, even without some of their star players because of injury.
Well, no, because you don't want to play him because he could go for 55 and make it look easy despite taking, shots that are an 11 on a 1 to 10 degree of difficulty scale. I mean, he's inhuman. I understand Larry Bird and a lot of other guys from sort of not a bygone era, but the previous era of the NBA are considered great shooters, and they are. Curry's on another planet, which is insane this year because he doesn't have Klay Thompson with him, who might be a top 15 all-time pure shooter. He's so good. So I look at him, and I don't think we've seen anything like Steph Curry before. I mean, the list of games where he had, 10-plus three-pointers, the number that he has in his career is just obscene relative to the competition. I know, Bob, as you do, because you watch a ton of NBA, more than I do even, the game has changed fundamentally in terms of the focus on the three-point shot. That doesn't mean that everybody's good at it, and Curry is sublime.
No, he really is, and it's infectious now. You see what guys can do. You see Trae Young shooting from that distance. You see Damian Lillard, and others are trying to do it. Boy,
and they're making it. That's the thing, though. They're not just gunning it.
But it's a low
They're
percentage shot for most people. You shouldn't even try it if you're most people. Those guys are good shooters, but, I mean, still, the odds are if you're going to take 10 of those shots, most people, you'll be lucky to make 3. But we'll see what happens. All right, let's go to the lines. We got Steve in Castle Shannon first up tonight. Chris, go ahead. Steve, how are you?
Hey, how are you doing tonight? When Brian Hayes comes back off the disabled list, are they going to consider moving Evans to one of the outfield positions?
They should.
I would imagine that they're going to try to find a way to keep his bat in the lineup a la Josh Harrison. I know he's cooled off a little bit, but granted, he's another one of those guys in his late 20s who's never really had a chance, so he doesn't really qualify as sort of an up-and-coming prospect, Steve. But I think if he continues to hit close to what he did to start the very beginning of the season, they'll try to find a way, and they should find a way, to keep his bat in the lineup however they need to.
Yeah, and they also need to put Brian Reynolds in center and just keep him there because there's nobody else who can play it as well, in my view, as he can. Another tweet, you can hit us up at KD Pomp, at Chris Mueller, PGH. Sean Kramer says, draft approaching, could you see one of the top 3 running backs slipping to the second round, or do they have to draft a running back in the first round and not miss out on one of them to make sure the offense is balanced? I believe there's going to be somebody for them in the second round if they want to wait that long. But if they determine that one of these guys they really like, whether it's Harris or ATM or even Williams, who I don't think is going to rise to that level, but they may want to do it if it's possible. That's a debate that we're all having right now, Chris. Is it worth taking a number 1 pick? If it's Najee Harris and he turns out to be Derrick Henry-like, yes, would be my answer, but you don't know for sure.
Well, Derrick Henry even needed a really good offensive line and a quarterback that was happy to run play action to really blossom into the force of nature that he is today. I don't think it's worth it because I think the idea that you would take a running back would be premised on the idea that you're one piece away, specifically that piece away from a Super Bowl contender, and the Steelers just aren't. That's a faulty foundational premise. I think the responsible thing to do here is try to get somebody, even in the third round, who's maybe outside of that top 3, that first tier of running backs, and try to rebuild yourself on the offensive line in particular. Think about it this way. If you're starting to even consider life after Roethlisberger, if you're the Steelers, and you want to have that built-in advantage if you find your next quarterback and he's precocious on a rookie deal, don't you want the best possible team around him already built up? Chances are a running back is probably not going to be part of that. You know what I mean? Look at the Browns. I know they have Nick Chubb, but they didn't spend a first-round pick there. They picked up Kareem Hunt. They were opportunistic, but they built a really good team around Baker Mayfield such that they could go 11-5 with him only really blossoming the second half of the year. I think the Steelers need to start putting their focus on that for down the road.
I agree with that because even a Derrick Henry was a second-round pick. First-round picks, that's an awful lot to ask, but if they're really enticed by one of them, they may do it. In the meantime, let's talk about Alejandro Villanueva real quick, Chris, because he is scheduled to visit down in Baltimore. It's interesting what they're doing there, and it may be just a way to save money. Plus, I would imagine they're going to draft an offensive lineman, too. I think they need to. They're in the same boat as the Steelers, but your thoughts about him going there, or if he doesn't find that meeting to work and the money's not right, and if the Steelers don't draft a left tackle, would he come back here?
I don't think he would come back here. I don't really think they'd be interested in him at this point because they want to run the ball more. That's what they've said. He's just not a good run blocker. That's just point in fact at this juncture in his career. Maybe he's really never been one, but it's really become noticeable. The situation in Baltimore is interesting because they have a franchise left tackle in Ronnie Stanley. He's not going to be going anywhere for a long time, but Orlando Brown Jr. on the right side, as Pro Football Talk I think pointed out today, he wants to switch over to the left side and get paid because that's how he feels like it's going to happen for him. So it would be weird. They would be looking at Villanueva probably with the idea of trading Orlando Brown and putting Villanueva at a position he's never played before in an offense that's not really tailored to his strengths because they love to run the ball. You know what I say? Take him, Baltimore. Start him. Make him your plug-and-play right tackle. Give him 1,000, 1,100 snaps over there because suddenly you're going to find you can't run the ball to that side very well anymore. So I'm all for this. Let's do it here.
By the way, there is on a Mueller Monday, I got a maniac Mueller Monday going on. We got a strobe light moving. It's like flickering. I don't know if you can tell, but I feel like we're in a discotheque in here in the studio. I don't know if you can see it, but I feel it on my face.
Oh, I can see it now.
I'm on it.
Yeah.
On
Let's
that
party,
note,
man. Come on, let's go.
Let's go. It's a Mueller Monday. Now it's time for the Tri-State Office Furniture Tweet of the Day. And this comes to us from the Pittsburgh Steelers, who celebrate Troy Polamalu's 40th birthday. Can you believe that? Seems like he's been out of the game forever, and he's only 40, and Brady's still playing at 45. They say happy birthday. And I would not want to be remiss, though, because it's also Aaron Smith's birthday. So happy birthday to both those guys. What a good day it is in Steeler history on this day, April the 19th. We'll do for a break. We'll take it, and I maybe get the strobe light fixed here or whatever. Maybe not. Maybe we'll have fun late night right here on the Sports Call.